So good morning, students. Varshini, good morning. Today we are going to see about the interrupts in the fifth unit. Already we know what is an interrupt. Already it was taught in the first unit. Okay. So what is the chip number for the microcontroller? Good morning, Swati. What is the chip number for the microcontroller? Chip number for microcontroller? 8253. 8053 is timer. Microcontroller is 8051. Okay, microcontroller is 8051. It is a programmable device which is used to perform a particular function repeatedly. 8051. Microcontroller, the chip number is 8051. Okay, it is a programmable device which is used to perform a particular function repeatedly. So in this microcontroller, the address bus is 16-bit and the data bus is 8-bit. Okay. So now let's see about the interrupts. Already we know that what is an interrupt. So the process of interrupting the normal program execution to carry out a specific task. Suppose let us take an example. If there is a calling bell sound, means whatever we are doing. Well, suppose if you're working in at the kitchen or you're sleeping, so you have to respond to the sound. Okay. So what is the main? Suppose let us take the processes. The main program is you're sleeping, and there is a sound. You're hearing a sound. So you have to interrupt your sleeping, and then you are going to that. You're seeing who is at the person at the door, and then you're completing this task. That is, you're responding to that person, and then again you can continue with the main process, that is sleeping. Okay, so I think you understood what is an interrupter. So here, how this is the main program without any interrupts. So you're sleeping. Okay, main program is sleeping or studying. So let us take studying. Okay, so you're studying, you're continuously studying. There is no interrupt from anyone, from your mother or your brother, sister, whatever it is. So you're continuing studying. Okay, but here when you come to the second diagram, we are with the interrupt. So you're studying and you are getting a call from your mother to take your breakfast. Okay, so you're going there. So completing this task of eating, that is the interrupt service routine. Okay, the task is you're eating, and after completing the process, again you're continuing your studies. Okay, you're going again studying, and the lunch time comes here. So again you receive a call from your mother to take your lunch. So you're going to take the lunch. Okay, so that is the interrupt service routine. It's a task that you're going to take the lunch. Then after taking the lunch, again you are coming back and the studying is in process. Okay. Then the time is 4 o'clock, so you are going for the tea break. Okay, tea break, and then again you can continue with this. So you understood this? What is an interrupt? So this is the main program. Okay, without any interrupts. So you are going on studying. So this is the main program without any interrupts. And here the main program, in between we are having the interrupts. So whenever we are receiving an interrupt, you have to service that interrupt. Okay, that is, we are going to that interrupt routine and you're performing the task, and after completing, again you are coming to the main program. So let's see here how to resume the main program. So this is the main program. Here running the program. Here we are getting an interrupt. Okay. So before going to this interrupt service routine, you have to return to the main program after completing that interrupt. So what we are doing is all the status of the program, that is program counter register, all the status, that is the values of all the registers, everything will be stored in the stack. Okay, after pushing all the data into the stack, we are going to this interrupt service routine. Okay, and then after completing that routine, again we are resuming back to the main program. So how to get the data is already the data are available in the stack. So we are popping out. We are restoring the data program state from the stack, and then we are continuing the main program. Okay. So this is another diagram representing this. So this is the main program. So while we are executing instruction 3, we are getting an interrupt. Okay. So what we are doing is we are jumping to that interrupt service routine, and after executing this I return, again the control is transferred to the main program. Okay. So when we receive an interrupt, before transferring to this interrupt service routine, all the program counter value and the value of all the registers must be pushed into the stack. Okay. Push it in stack, and then only we can transfer to this subroutine. So what is vector address? What is vector address? So vector address is the starting address of the interrupt service routine. Okay. So every interrupt will be having a vector address. So vector address is the starting address of the interrupt service routine. It will be designed by the manufacturer. Vector address is the starting address of the interrupt service routine. Okay. And the condition is the last line of the interrupt service routine must be an I return instruction. It is returned from interrupts. Okay. And here there are two types of interrupts, namely hardware interrupts and software interrupts. So hardware interrupts are the interrupts from the devices, that is printer, monitor, whatever it is from the devices. And software interrupts are the programs. That is the interrupt service routine. Okay, subroutine. So software interrupts. Again, the interrupts are divided into maskable interrupts and non-maskable interrupts. So maskable means you can make the interrupt to wait. Okay, maskable is you can make the interrupt to wait. That is maskable interrupts. So non-maskable means so at once you have to give the response. As I said earlier, suppose if I'm taking the class, okay, for you. So if there is an interrupt from a higher officials means immediately I have to respond to them. No, so that is non-maskable. So you cannot make the interrupt to wait. That is non-maskable interrupt. Maskable means you can make the interrupt to wait. That is the two types of interrupts. Okay, so the interrupts are divided. Again, you have to write the same theory part what you studied in Unit 1. So interrupts, types of interrupts is hardware interrupts and software interrupts. So hardware interrupts are the interrupts from the devices, and software interrupts are through the programs. And again, it is divided as maskable and non-maskable interrupts. Maskable interrupt means you can make the interrupt to wait, and non-maskable is at once you have to give the response to that. Okay. So now let's come to the interrupts in 8051. Actually, here we have 5 sources of interrupts. Okay, 5 sources of interrupt. Let's see this diagram here. The 5 sources of interrupts is from the interrupt control unit. We have 2 interrupts lines. Okay, and then we have 2 timers. So from that we are having 2 interrupts, and from the serial unit we have 1 interrupt line. Okay, hope you got it. There are 5 sources of interrupts in 8051. From the interrupt control unit, we have 2 interrupts, INT0 and INT1. And from timer 1 and 2, we have 2 interrupts, that is TF0 and TF1. TF0 is nothing but timer overflow, okay, TF1. And from the serial control unit, we have only 1 interrupt, the either transmit interrupt or receive interrupt. That is at the same time, we cannot transmit and receive. So we have only one single interrupt, which is used to represent transmit interrupt or receive interrupt. So this is the diagram used to represent the interrupts. Okay. So here, see here, the 5 sources of interrupts are here. INT0 and INT1 here. Okay. The next one is the TF0, TF1, which is from the timer. And next one is the serial interrupt T1 or RI, TI or RI. So for this only, we are having an OR gate. So either one can be accepted. Okay. So TI, transmit interrupt or receive interrupts. Okay. So whenever this INT0, let us take INT0, interrupt 0. So this will enable this IE0. Okay, so see here, this IE0 is available in the timer control register, IE0. So IE0 is an external interrupt from the timer, okay, IE0 and IE1 here. So if this IE0 is enabled, it will go to this interrupt. So for this to be enabled, we have 2 conditions. So this one and this one. If both are set, means that is if both are enabled, so IE0 will be enabled. Okay. And if IE0 is enabled, it will go for the interrupt. That is, it will call the interrupt service routine. So what are the two conditions here is, one is from IT0 that is available here, IT0. What IT0 refers, whether it is a edge trigger or level trigger. Okay. So this is from the register IT0 and this is from the hardware. This is from whether there is 1 to 0 transition in the clock pulse, 1 to 0. So if both the conditions are satisfied, that is if IE0 is enabled, IT0 is enabled, that is available in the timer control register and the hardware control signal. If both are enabled, this will enable the IE0 pin that is available in timer control register and then it will go for the interrupt. Okay. So let's we have INT1. Here also it checks for two conditions. If both are enabled, then this will enable this IE1 and we go for that interrupt. So two conditions for INT0 and INT1. So coming to this TF0, that is from the timer, there is no condition straightly. If TF0 is set means it will directly go to this address. Okay. Like this TF1 also no condition. When the TF1 is enabled means, so directly it will go to this subroutine. And for this T1, that is whether transmit or receive. If one is enabled means it will go for this interrupt. So actually this, what I said here, interrupt is nothing but the vector address. Okay. So that is if this IE0 is enabled means it will go to this vector address. And this, let's see in the next diagram. I have given this vector address here. So vector address is nothing but the starting address of the interrupt service routine. So if there is an interrupt from INT0, it jumps to this address 00003 and executes the program in that address. Okay. And if there is an interrupt from TF0 means it will go to the vector address 000B and it will execute the program in that memory location. And if it is INT1 means the vector address is 0013 and TF1 is, that is from the timer, it is a 001B. And if the serial interrupt means it will go for 0023. So these are the vector address. Hope you got it. Okay. So for this IE, that is the first INT0, two conditions it must satisfy. One is from IT0 and another one is the hardware value. Both are enabled. So IE0 will be enabled. And then if this is enabled, it will go for the vector address. Actually, the vector address is 0003. So like this for TF0, the vector address is 00B. And INT1, it again checks for two conditions. If both are enabled, this will enable this IE1 that is available in the timer control register. And it will jump to this vector address. So the vector address for INT1 is 0013. And for TF1, it is 001B. And for the serial interrupts, whether it is transmit interrupt or receive interrupt, the vector address is 0023. Okay. And to control this interrupts, we are having the registers, i.e. interrupt enabled register and interrupt priority registers. So these are the two registers supports for interrupt processing. Okay. So the priority of the interrupt, there are 5 sources of interrupts. Okay, the priority is external INT0 has the highest priority, then TF0, then INT1, TF1, and then the serial port interrupt. Okay, there are 5 sources of interrupt. So to control this interrupts, we have two registers. There is interrupt enable register and interrupt priority register. Let's see about this interrupt enable register. So to enable this pin, to enable all the interrupts, we have this bit, okay, E, internal access, external, enable all the interrupts. So interrupt enable register is an 8-bit register and ET2 is used for future use. Suppose if you go for more number of interrupts, it can be used here. And this ES is used to enable, okay, enable the serial port interrupts, RI and TI to enable this. So whatever interrupts we are going to use, we have to enable. Suppose if you are not using the serial port interrupt in that application means, so this bit can be set to 0. So it states that there is no serial interrupts. Okay. And like this, if you are using only one timer means, according to that you can set. Okay. So only timer 0 is used means, so this 2 can be enabled and this timer 1 is not used means it can be disabled. 0. So depending upon the applications, you can enable the interrupts. So ET1 is the timer 1 interrupt and EX1 is the external interrupt, that is INT1, and ET0 is the timer interrupt and EX0 is the external interrupt 0. Okay, so this is an 8-bit register which is used to enable the interrupts. So depending upon the application, we can enable the interrupts. Suppose if we don't want the timer in time, we are not using the timer unit in that application means, so don't want to enable that interrupt. So in that position, you can put 0. You got it? So first one is enable all the interrupts. So suppose if you want to enable, just you put 1 here, that's all. So all the interrupts will be enabled. So suppose if you want to specifically give this, you can give that also. So ES is to enable the serial port interrupt, and ET1 is they enable the timer 1 interrupt, and EX1 is INT1 to enable INT1, and ET0 is timer 0 interrupt, and EX0 is INT0 to enable the interrupts. Okay. And next one is the interrupt priority. Interrupt priority. So this is PT2 is reserved for future use, and here PS represents the serial port priority. We can set the priority also. There is a priority is of we have the priority structure also. So here we can set our own priority also. So PS is used to set the serial port priority, and PT1 is the represent the priority of timer 1 interrupt, and PX1 is the external interrupt. Okay, INT1, and PT0 is the timer 0 interrupt, and PX0 is the external interrupt. That is INT0. I think. So let's go to the next. Kalyan Kumar.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I go to the next topic, serial port, or is it okay? Students, are you able to understand this interrupt, or you want me to repeat it again? Okay, fine. Okay, ma'am, means you want me to repeat it? Okay, fine. Thank you. So let's go to the next topic. This is serial port communication. Understood. Okay. Serial port communication. So already, what is the chip number for serial transmission? In 8086, we used a separate chip. What is the chip number which is used for serial transmission? So we can go for serial transmission and also parallel transmission. For serial data transfer, what is the chip number? You can refer it and tell me the answer for serial and parallel also. Serial 8053. What is 8053 version? 8251. 8251. Right. 8251 is used for serial transmission. 8251 USART. Universal synchronous receiver transmitter. So serial transmission means bit by bit the data will be transferred. So in this microcontroller, we are having a serial unit which is used to transfer the data in serial. Then in parallel transfer in 8086, we use 8255 for parallel transmission, 8255. That is the first topic in Unit 3. So 8255 is a programmable peripheral interface, 8255. It is used to transfer the data in parallel. Okay. Here we don't want this additional unit for parallel data transfer because already in this microcontroller we are having 4 ports. Okay. Port 0, port 1, port 2 and port 3 which is used for parallel transmission. So there is no additional unit for parallel transmission. Okay. So we have only a unit to perform serial transmission. So bit by bit, the data will be transmitted out. So before transmitting the data, it must be framed in such a way that we have two types of transmission, no? Synchronous and asynchronous transmission. The same theory, you have to repeat it again. So to control this serial data transfer, we are having two registers, the serial control register and serial buffer register. Okay. So let's see here. So already I said, asynchronous, there are two type of transmission. So asynchronous data transfer and synchronous data transfer. So asynchronous means the people must not be in online. At any time, you can transmit the data. So hope you remember this figure also. And synchronous data transfer means, so both must be in online. Okay, so these are the two types of data transfer, asynchronous data transfer and synchronous data transfer. So before transmitting the data must be framed in such a way whether we are going for asynchronous data transfer and synchronous data transfer. You're studying in networks also, so you can write the theory from computer network subject also. So asynchronous data transfer is framed in between the start bit and the stop bit. Hope you remember. We have the start bit and then the data and then the parity bit and then we have the stop bit. Okay. So the parity bit is optional. So whether we can go for it or not. Okay. There is asynchronous data transfer. So synchronous data transfer will be framed in such a way we have a synchronous character and it will be followed by data. Okay, understood. So these are the two types of data transfer, asynchronous data transfer and synchronous data transfer. So for asynchronous data transfer, so the people must be in online. Does not require people to be online at the same time. For synchronous data transfer, both the source and the destination must be in online. So they will be synchronized by using the software. Okay. So another transmission mode, we have simplex mode, half duplex mode and full duplex. So again, simplex mode is the way of transmission will be in one line, simplex, okay? And then half duplex means two lines will be available. At a time, you can transmit or receive the data. That is half duplex. And full duplex is at the same time, you can transmit and also receive the data. So the serial port that is available in 8051 uses the full duplex transmission mode. Okay, that is at the same time when transmit and say full duplex mode is used in this 8051. So let's see the registers, structure of the registers. Actually, two registers are used here for serial communication. One is the serial control register. Another one is the serial buffer register, which is used to transmit and also receive. Okay, serial control register. Let's see here. This is RI, so receive interrupt flag. So we are using RI and TI, no? So that is available in the serial control register. Okay. Receive interrupt and transmit interrupt. And next one, this RB8 and TB8 represents the 9th bit. So that is nothing but the parity bit that is available during transmission. Okay. So the 9th bit represents the parity bit. So this is RB8 is received 9th bit. It is the parity bit push value. And here, this is the TB8 is the transmitted 9th bit. It is nothing but the parity bit. Okay. So next one is to receive enable. REN is receiver enable. And here the serial mode bit 2. So this is used in multiprocessor mode. Okay. So this is used in multiprocessor mode. Here it is not. And SM0 and SM1 represents the modes. Mode 0, 1, 2, and 3. So mode 0, see the table at the bottom. So mode 0, it is used as a shift register. Here the baud rate will differ. What do you mean by baud rates? What do you mean by baud rate? Baud rate. Okay. So baud rate is the rate at which the data are transmitted. So it's a bandwidth, yeah. Baud rate is the rate at which the data are transmitted. Okay. So in mode 0, it acts as a shift register. and the baud rate is the oscillator frequency divided by 12. Okay, that is the clock pulse. So baud rate means the rate at which the data are transmitted, transmission rate. It's a bandwidth. Then mode 1 is it acts as an 8-bit UART. UART is universal asynchronous receiver transmitter. Okay. So mode 1, it is uses 8-bit UART, universal asynchronous receiver transmitter. So the baud rate will be variable. So it will be different. The baud rate will differ. Okay. And in mode 2, it acts as a 9-bit UART. 9 means the data frame. So the 8-bit will be the data, and the 9th bit is the parity bit. Okay. So in mode 2, it acts as a 9-bit UART. And the baud rate can be, we have two frequencies, that is the baud rate. So it's oscillated frequency divided by 32. Another one is it is divided by 64. Okay. And in mode 3, it is acts as 9-bit UART, and the baud rate will differ. There is a variable baud rate. So these are the 4 modes in which the serial port can act. So one is mode 0, just a shift register. The data bit by bit, you know the function of shift register, no? So bit by bit, the data will be shifted, and the baud rate is 12 divided by 12. Okay, the frequency divided by 12. And in mode 1, it acts as an 8-bit UART. So the baud rate is variable, it will differ. And mode 2 is it acts as a 9-bit UART. And in mode 3, it acts as a 9-bit UART. Okay. So this is the structure of the serial control register. And we can increase the baud rate also. That is, we can double the baud rate. That is the bandwidth. Suppose if it is 12 Mbps means we can double it. How to do it is, there are 2 possible ways to increase the baud rate. It is double it. So we can go for a high frequency crystal. That is the oscillator frequency, no? So we can go for a high frequency crystal, or another option is a bit is available in the power control register, PCON. If that bit is equal to 1 means the baud rate will be double. Automatically it will be double. Okay, that is understood. So to increase the baud rate, one is you can go for a high frequency crystal. Another one is you have to change a bit in the power control register. So in that power control register, we have a S mode. Same here. If that bit is equal to 1 means the baud rate will be double. Now let's see the structure of the power control register. See here, this is this SMOD. SMOD with a serial baud rate. If it is equal to 1 means automatically the baud rate will be double. Okay. So what is baud rate is? The rate at which the data are transmitted. So baud rate is the rate at which the data are transmitted. And GF1 and GF0 are the general purpose flag registers you can use. And next one, PD is power down mode, and IDL is idle mode. So what is power down mode is? So if the oscillator is focused, that is, if there is any problem in the device means, the hardware reset only will perform that is, it will come to the normal condition. So power down mode is, so if there is any issue and the system has failure means, so we have to reset it through hardware, through the pin hardware only. Okay, so that is power down mode. So idle mode is nothing but the sleeping mode. So normally when you are using the desktop or laptop, if it goes to sleeping mode, how will we activate it? How will you bring it to the normal mode in the sleeping mode? So just if you move the mouse or you press the enter key, it will come to the normal mode. That is the idle mode. Okay. So in the idle mode, the oscillator will be running only, but it will be in the sleeping mode. That is, the clock will not be supplied to the CPU. So when you move the mouse or when you press the enter key, so the clock pulse will be applied to the CPU and it will come to the on stage. Okay, that is the idle mode. The power down mode is a failure. So how to bring it to the normal mode is hardware reset in the power down mode. And in the idle mode, so by pressing pressing the enter key or moving the mouse, it will go to the idle mode on stage. Okay. So that's all about this power control register. Let's stop. Okay. I think this is enough. So today we have seen about interrupts. Okay. So interrupts and also the serial port communication. In interrupts, we have 5 sources of interrupts. Okay, INT0. Go to the first one. INT0, INT1, TF0, and TF1. And for serial port, we can transmit interrupt or receive interrupt. And for again for both the topics, normally in the 5th unit, so all the content will be repeated as same as in 8086 processor. Okay, the same content can be written here also. For interrupts also the same theory from 8086 and serial, whatever we are studying in the 5th unit, the same information already was taught in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd unit. It's repeated again. So study the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd unit properly. Okay. And Kalyan Kumar?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I go for attend? Can you continue this class?
Yes, ma'am. Shall I continue with interrupts or I'll ask general questions in 3rd unit, ma'am?
Just you can go for the 3rd unit, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So you want the screen to be there, or I can come out of that?
Not required, ma'am, actually.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kalyan Kumar. And thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.